Guys, we've officially done it. We've officially reached the peak of investment lunacy. I've never seen something this insane. I have never seen something this insane. Time to think like an investor. Today, guys, I want to talk about something that is on my mind, and I want to kind of illustrate what I'm really thinking about here, okay? And I want to paint for you a picture of the most opulent lifestyle my materialistic American ass can come up with. What is the most incredible, materialistic, craziest lifestyle I can really imagine, and what would that cost? And there's a point to this, by the way, so stay with me. I think, for me personally, in Canada, where I live, we have this place called West Vancouver. It's kind of like the utopia of our country. It is like the most beautiful thing in the entire world. It's like West Van. You gotta go to West Van. The real estate prices, though, are crazy because it is kind of the utopia of Canada. And I think if I were to start with the most crazy thing I could possibly buy, I would get an $8 million mansion in West Vancouver. Look at this place. It's even got a putting green in the front. Like, that's stunning. Look at this. Park your cars in there. Absolutely beautiful, hey? Kitchen. Like, I don't need to go on and on. But what we're talking about here is $8 million. So I'm gonna need $8 million, probably, let's say, in cash to buy this mansion. But you can't have the mansion if you don't also have the coolest car in the world. So, I mean, what I get? I'm gonna get a Lamborghini Aventador. That's probably the car that I'm gonna go with, and I mean, it's gonna be another $600,000, right? But it's a pretty cool lifestyle right now. I'm living in West Van, living a life on the, right by the water, got my Lamborghini, life's looking pretty good. But, sometimes I'm gonna wanna travel, so maybe I'm gonna need a private jet. Maybe I'm gonna want a plane for maybe $3 million. Get myself a nice private plane with room for me and my friends, go down to Vegas, go to California, do all the great stuff. But the crazy thing is, this is $3 million and the car is $500,000, we're probably sitting at 3.5, the house $10 million, right? Now, what if I want to actually get out of those ridiculously frigid Canadian winters? I want to go to Fiji. That's the most expensive vacation I can think of. Go to like one of these overwater villas, and I priced it out. It's about a $20,000 trip if you want to do it right. That's crazy, okay? So I mean, this is a pretty good lifestyle I'm painting in my view. This sounds like a ton of fun. I got the coolest car in the world. I got myself a private jet. I got a house over here. Let's make this real for a second. What if I gave you all this stuff and I said you could have all of this, okay? Or for the same price as all of that stuff in cash, for the exact same dollar amount, you could have a JPEG of this picture. You could have this picture that I could screenshot if I wanted and copy it, that I could right click and click save as and have it on my desktop. But you're the original owner. You get to own this picture. Well, the crazy thing is this picture is what we call a CryptoPunk, okay? And it's one of these NFTs, a non-fungible token. It's one of these things you can buy with Ethereum on the blockchain. This sold at Sotheby's, a luxury auction, for $11.7 million. Now, before I get to what this is all about, let's think about financially speaking. You guys know I love these time value money calculators. What if I put away, let's just for a second say I put away $11.7 million. And I drain that down to $0 over time. I try to see how much can I live off of if I just invest $11.7 million. And maybe I can get a really easy rate of return, maybe 4 or 5%. And I do this from age now, 25, until 100, 75 years. How much money could that give me every single year? Well, if we go annually and we figure this out, and I hit this payment button, that's gonna tell me effectively what this would pay me in income. So I could live off of $570,000 a year for the rest of my life until I die, right? Or I could own that picture. I could own the original copy of that picture. Does this seem insane to you guys? Does this seem absolutely mind-boggling? Well, it is to me. But for the sake of today, what I want to do is I want to make what I call a steelman case. What is the strongest argument I can possibly make for why that picture is worth 11.7? Because to me it seems nuts, but I want to really take the other side of the argument and figure out why is this thing called a CryptoPunk, a non-fungible token that says I own a JPEG. Why is that worth $11.7 million? So quickly, first things first, what is a CryptoPunk? Well, some people came along and decided we're going to create 10,000 little unique avatars. Some of them are gonna have glasses, some of them will have earrings, some of them have toques, some will be aliens. And they're gonna be 24 by 24 pixels. And we're just gonna make these accessible on the Ethereum blockchain so that people can buy and sell these and have the original, what we call an NFT, non-fungible token of this avatar, one of these pictures. And for some reason or another, these things just began to absolutely skyrocket in value. And now CryptoPunks are all the rage, selling for millions and millions of dollars. What could possibly facilitate this? How could this ever happen? Well, okay, here's the Steelman case from my perspective, okay? What is going on here is all over the world, there are soon to be probably 8 billion people on the internet. Within our lifetimes, there will probably be 7 to 8 billion people on the internet. And on the internet, there are billions and billions of little pieces of content everywhere. There's Doge memes, there's sports highlights, there's all these different things. And until now, there has never really been ownership of content, right? When you saw a meme or you saw a really funny TikTok, sure, someone posted it, but does someone really own that? Does someone have the original? Can they buy and sell and trade it? Well, what if I told you maybe in the future, online content, memes, GIFs, these sorts of things, could be monetized as an asset. Maybe you put out a piece of content that went viral, and now you can be rewarded for putting out a piece of content that the world finds funny or enjoyable or that sort of thing. Right now, you don't really get rewarded for posting a viral video. Maybe you go viral yourself and you can monetize some sort of page. But what if in the future, kind of like an investment class like stocks or bonds, you could also securitize or turn into an asset, some sort of piece of content that could be traded on a market? And what if right now you could buy the very first investment on that market that's going to exist for the rest of human history, if it does? I think that's what's happening here. That's really what an NFT is. It's getting your hands on a piece of content that might become so nostalgic that in the future it is worth a lot of money. I think that's the Steelman case. That's the case for why this is so exciting and why so many people are into it. And really what I'm trying to get at here is, what is an NFT? What is a CryptoPunk? Why do we have this kind of hysteria around this right now where people are willing to forego mansions and Lamborghinis and private planes to have that JPEG? That's absolutely obscene to me. So that's one case to be made. Right now, you have the opportunity to get your hands on what might have been the first stock in the stock market ever. And maybe that could compound at 10 or 15% for 100 years, and maybe that can be some sort of source of wealth for you. But what might this really be about? And what is my hunch? Well, I mean, it's important to take that into account. There is some value in that nostalgia, and there is some validity to that. But let's look at maybe the Federal Reserve money supply. This might be just what happens when you decide to print trillions and trillions of dollars. What we see on this graph is how much money has been printed in history and just given into the economy. This is the Fed's balance sheet. This is the supply of money in the economy. And what we see is that in 2008, there's a pretty substantial jump because we had a financial crisis, and I'm not sure if you remember, we had to bail out the entire country and a bunch of big banks, and people were very upset that we printed money. But then look what happens in 2020 when the pandemic hits, how much money we printed out of thin air to get ourselves out of that problem. You cannot tell me that that isn't going to have some sort of impact on your currency, okay? And people know this. This isn't some secret. The reason that this is important, this is why cryptocurrencies have taken off. In my opinion, if we think about the relationship, and I mean, there's not perfect correlation in this graph, but what this compares is the balance sheets of the major central banks, the Fed in the United States, the European Central Bank, the Bank of Japan. These are different monetary authorities within their country who are responsible for printing money in your country. They can create new currency if they're ever in a really bad problem, and they can essentially bail themselves out of an economic rut by printing more money. And what we see is that over time, both of these things increase. As central banks continue to inflate currencies, people flock to Bitcoin because they think, well, this is actually a currency that can't be manipulated, right? But now here's the problem. Everybody talks about wealth inequality, right? They say, oh, well, 99% of the wealth is in 1% of people's hands, or whatever it might be, whatever the statistic is, or 4 people own as much money as the bottom 40% of the world, right? What's lesser talked about is how much money is held in cryptocurrencies by how many few people, okay? Let's look at this. So Bitcoin, for instance, a market cap almost $1 trillion. Ethereum, another $400 billion, maybe a little less, right? And what this is really showing us is how much money is really out there in cryptocurrencies. It's in the trillions, right? And if we think about this, so AAA, or whatever this is, came up with a study and they did some estimates to find out how many people in the world actually own cryptocurrency. And what they found is that maybe about 3.9%, or 4% of the world, or 300 million people, own cryptocurrency. So what that means is there is probably $2 to $3 trillion in 4% of people's hands. That is kind of really unaccounted for because it's not in the primary banking system. Nobody knows who owns what crypto. But all of this being said, here's the point, guys, okay? The point is this. If there are that many people out there who own cryptocurrency, and we all know what's happened with cryptocurrency, right? I think it even gives us a quote here. The price of Bitcoin between 2012 and 2021 has increased 540,000%. And what that means, we all have a story of someone in our life who has gotten rich through cryptocurrencies. They put some money in Bitcoin or Ethereum and made a whole bunch of money. But here's what you need to understand. In order for someone to get that money out of cryptocurrency into their real physical life, where they can buy a house or they can buy a Lamborghini or they can buy a private jet, they have to pay capital gains taxes. And what that means is, if they bought their Bitcoin for $1 and now it's worth $1 million, there's $500,000, or half of that gain is now going to be taxable. So what this means is there is trillions and trillions of dollars within very few people's hands that if they want to get into the real world, there will be tax repercussions, and serious ones. So if there's something in the real world that costs $1 million, it's really almost like 1.5 in Bitcoin because of all the taxes you're going to have to actually pay. So what I'm trying to get at here is, if you all of a sudden have become massively wealthy or came into this huge windfall because of your cryptocurrency investments, and now you can't really get them out and buy anything physical without any massive tax implications, what you're kind of left to do is kind of twiddle your thumbs and think about, okay, well, where could I put this cryptocurrency where it won't get taxed, where I could still invest in something? Because if I take that out of my crypto and put it in my bank account, now it's taxable. Even if I want to invest that money in the stock market or in real estate or somewhere else, I can't do that without paying capital gains tax. So what you have is trillions of dollars of wealth in very few people's hands who love crypto, and they say, okay, well, we need to maybe invest in a different asset class. And something like CryptoPunks comes out, or NFTs come out, and people start creating artwork that starts selling for millions of dollars in Ethereum and Bitcoin. And I think the reason is because there's trillions of dollars in wealth out there that is exposed to taxes if any of those people want to withdraw their money. If any of those people want to buy something real, they can't. Well, I mean, they can, but the amount of tax it's going to cost them to do that makes it just completely disincentivizes it. So what we have now is all of this wealth looking for something to do, twiddling its thumbs trying to figure out, what am I going to buy with this? Like, I might be a crypto millionaire, but what am I actually going to do in a tax efficient way? And what you can do is start buying NFTs, or you can start buying CryptoPunks, and maybe all those other idiots out there with billions of dollars in cryptocurrency will buy it for a higher price than you because they see the price going up as well. Not all people who own crypto are idiots. All I'm saying is this idea of always buying something higher and higher just because you think there's going to be someone else who's going to buy it higher from you, not exactly a wise investment decision. But what's the last thing? I think there's one more thing to talk about here. There's one more thing I really want to bring up. And to me, that is something like a Rolex, right? If we think about a watch like a Rolex Daytona, this thing goes for $52,000 in my currency in Canada. And do you really need to spend $52,000 to tell the time? It's like, absolutely not. And I was actually at this wonderful conference this one time. This guy named Scott Galloway, who's a professor. He says, who in here owns a luxury watch? And some people put up their hands. And then he said, who bought that watch to tell the time? And everyone kind of, like, it was mixed answers. And he's like, well, that's right. You didn't buy that watch to tell time. You bought a luxury watch to show all the other people around you that, hey, I'm successful, do business with me. And to all the women in the room, you're saying, hey, I'm a successful, affluent man, mate with me. That's what a Rolex is. And he got to the heart of the issue right away. And I think that's a little bit kind of what CryptoPunks is about. You have somebody who has made a ton of money in cryptocurrency, and they have no way to really show that to anybody. I mean, sure, they could take it out and pay a bunch of taxes, or they could show on their Twitter bio to all their VC friends in San Francisco that they have a CryptoPunk that's worth $1 million. And immediately, within an instant, everybody in the community knows, yeah, Billy made millions in Bitcoin. It's one of these ways that you can kind of flex your stats. I think there's a lot of different things moving in this direction. There's a lot of different things that are supporting the reason why we might have this massive bubble in NFTs, or, I mean, some of you would debate that this is a bubble. But to me, if we have this idea that we have this one-of-a-kind unique thing that might actually have investment merit later, and we have tons of cash in the economy that's getting forked into people's hands and being put into little brokerage accounts and buying Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, and people are making money doing this and they can't take it out without tax implications, and they have this status element, all of these things come together to really show you that a CryptoPunk actually, it makes sense why it's going up so much. There's so many different reasons why somebody would invest in this. There's status benefits, there's financial benefits, there's tax benefits. So to me, what seems so crazy at first, that you might spend $11 million to buy that JPEG, starts to almost not make sense, but you can see maybe why it's going on. And my point here is that if you are looking to get involved in NFTs or get involved in CryptoPunks or any of this sort of thing, I think these are the dynamics you need to be considering. Like, is this an investment class you want to invest in? Maybe, maybe not, but what you should be thinking about is these different things. The amount of money the Federal Reserve and these central banks are pumping into the economy. What happens if that dries up? Or what happens in the future if there's some sort of issue with cryptocurrency markets where they all of a sudden get regulated or there's punitive policies put in place? These will all impact CryptoPunks. So all of that being said, guys, what I'm really trying to get at here is what are the pros and cons of investing in CryptoPunks? Is this an asset class? Why are they going up? And I think these are the things you really need to be considering before you get involved in an asset class that is as risky as this. But anyways, guys, this has been my thoughts on CryptoPunks and what's going on with this crazy market. And if you enjoyed this video whatsoever, got any value at all, make sure to hit that like button below, hit subscribe, and turn on post notifications for more videos just like this one every single week. Until next time.